Hey everyone, it's Cathy Zielske. Welcome back to the craft/dining room. You have found yourself in another installment of New Stamps? Now what? The only web series wherein a middle-aged crafter, I'm 50 years old and I'm not one of those gals who's afraid to tell a real age, takes a set of stamps I've never used before and I use them because that's what the series is called. Today's project features a set that has a gorgeous wreath, and if you are afraid of coloring, this video is for you. Also, there is a die involved in this New Stamps Now What, so it's technically New Stamps, New Die, Now What. But I think you'll see it's all gonna be okay. Will it be a hot mess? We don't know when we start. No, we don't. My colorful, simple wreath card coming up next. So let's take a look at the stamps that I'm going to be using today. This is the Winter Wreath from My Favorite Things, and this is the coordinating die. I saw this wreath, I really wanted to do something with it, but I did not want to color in all that little detail. Sometimes when I see an image that just has that much detail, I kind of feel overwhelmed and intimidated, and so I didn't want to do that. So I have an idea today that may or may not work. A couple other products I'll be using. I'm going to stamp in embossing ink and do some clear embossing powder for that image. And then I also pulled some gold powder or some silver, haven't decided, for my sentiment, which I think I'm going to do a Miss You card. I am going to be using a new cardstock to me today. This is Distress White Heavy Cardstock. It is heavier weight and I've never tried it, but it might be great for water and distress ink and paint, etc. Well, I'm going to be painting with distress ink. I'm also going to be using my little mini mat here from Waffle Flower Crafts to smush my inks, and I have a water brush. Now I will show you my inks. I am going to pull from my pool of, I just have to do a slow pan here. We'll go up. Isn't that a beautiful sight? I am going to choose something from my distress cubes. And usually, let's just do this right now. Usually what I do is I do about the same rainbow, because I think a rainbow is going to work on this. I could be wrong. I'm going to take picked raspberry. Well, do I want to do a candied apple? You know what? Let's do an abandoned coral. We'll go with our Roy G. Biv. So I'm going to get my, let's see, spice marmalade. Okay. For yellow, oh my goodness, which one do I like the best? I love mustard seed. It's such a good one. Then, of course, no rainbow can be complete without twisted citron. I think I will also go with peacock feathers. And for my purple, this is the rainbow. I'm trying to balance them all in my, can you get it all in there? That's the rainbow I go with most often. And, well, that's what we're going to do. All right, so I'm going to set these aside and we're going to get to stamping. So before I get to stamping, I am going to take out a piece of this lovely cardstock and get excited about it because, you know, I like Ranger products. I'm a big fan of their Distress watercolor cardstock, but that's why this is kind of exciting because this is just a nice smooth cardstock. So I am going to cut this, let's see, right at 4 1/4, like that, and just go cut. I'll turn it and cut it at 5 1/2, like that. And now I have 2 pieces to work with. And honestly, I could actually use that as my card base too. That could be fine. I don't know yet. I'm going to see how it compares with Neenah Solar White so that I don't waste distress cardstock that could be used for other things. So let's put the trimmer away and let's bring in my Misty tool here, as I will be stamping with the Misty. So I've been kind of just switching over to my original size Misty to do most of my stamping on. It's very all-purpose, and to be honest with all of you, if I could only have one Misty, I would just get the original size because you can do a few more things with it. So let's take out the stamp. All right, take you off here, and now I don't want to mess that up, if that makes sense. I want to put this right where it needs to be and not distort it at all. I'm just going to pop down my magnet. I'm going to pick this up. All right. Now, we're pressed in nicely. Rub that down. Just rub it down a little. Why? Well, because it has a coating, right? It's a brand new stamp, has a coating on it. I don't want that coating. So, I do want this embossing magic. Now here's the thing too with this stamp. You wouldn't have to die cut it. I just think it's going to be fun to do it. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the old sleeve technique here. I don't know where, oh, that hurts, yeah. I've got, now I know many of you have suggested many things like a dry erase. Oh, there's my hair, lovely. A dry erase thing. I just have to make sure I come at it like this from the side. I cannot go like that. I cannot hold anything like that right now. But this I can do, okay? And that is relatively pain-free. I normally have a Swiffer cloth. I just don't know where it is. Oh, it's right there. Okay, so normally I do that, and that's actually easier. Now let's see if that's enough ink. I'm not sure if it is because of the, no, that actually looks really good. I can see it on, so I think what I'll do, oh, this is dry. I won't be cleaning anytime soon. This is hard as a rock, so we'll worry about that later. Now, let's bring in our, and you know me, I like to take a little guy like this, and I'm just going to use this clear. You could use white, of course. I've kind of been doing more clear lately, just to experiment with it, right? Just to see how does the clear look on this. And I've been enjoying that. But basically, we are doing an emboss resist today. Did I mention that? I don't think I did. We're doing an emboss resist, and we're going to make a messy rainbow. And I have no idea what this is going to look like. But when I do that, that looks pretty good. Can you see that? Hey, got a wreath there. Sprinkle a little more on. That line looks pretty good. And you know, of course, that stamps get more conditioned over time, right? I mean, this might stamp, you know, that looks pretty good. But stamps definitely get conditioned the more we use them. And then considering this is my first time, that was a pretty good stamp. So, flow that back in. Oh my. When I do this, I always get an excess of powder. And I feel a little wasteful. So I just wipe that up with my Swiffer, the all-purpose cloth. I like to let my heat tool warm up for, you know, usually about, I don't know, 20 seconds at least, maybe 30. No, I'm not gonna. But what I'm gonna do here is bring it to the paper and begin. And now what I have, can you see that? Let's see, can it catch the light? It's a shiny wreath, right? Barely shows up, but it is there. And now we're gonna paint. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start smushing, little ink cube. Let's get my little picked raspberry here. Just a basic rainbow of color to paint over that wreath area. Now here's what I don't know. Do I want to try to also extend the color out to there? And you know what? I don't think I do, because I don't think that would look very good, and I don't really know. I mean, unless I did a gray. I suppose I could do a gray, and this could look terrible. Let's be real. But here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start with, well, do we want to go Roy G. Biv that way? I think we do. So I'm gonna take my water brush. Okay, just kind of swirl it around here. But here is the beautiful thing. It doesn't matter. I do want to make sure I paint out enough that I kind of cover some area. Does that make sense? You see that? Okay, let's get this clean. And then, oh no, we're going to go into pink next. I wanted to go into a hot pink, and I'm going to overlap a little like that. Now, are leaves hot pink? No, we all know they're not. That's okay, right? That's gonna be fine. That's going to be just fine because we are playing with reality. All right. Picking up the orange and coming in like this. Okay. Again, letting it overlap a little, getting super messy. Now here's another tip too. If you didn't have the die for this, this is kind of a cool technique just to do on its own, right? You wouldn't need to, you know, also I should show you, I've got a little cloth here that I kind of squeezing some of this excess water off onto. But cool thing is, you could do this just on the card itself, no die cutting. In fact, honestly, maybe that's what I should have done. I don't know. Now I'm torn. All right, picking up the Cadillac of all greens, Le Twisted Citron. Bonjour, Citron. Although sometimes I feel like Twisted Citron does not come down dark enough, and I always end up doubling up on it. There we go. And the thing is too, you can go back over any color when you're doing this and kind of pump it up a little more, right? Yep, going in here. I'm not even going to clean off my brush because, you know, it's fine. You can totally mix those together. Again, coming in like that. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, so pretty, right? But you can see how the wreath, well, let's see here. Now we've got to shift in our light. All right, there you go. You can see how the wreath resists, right, the color. Now we'll come in with our last piece, the little purple here, and bring this around. These are just, if you wanted to get started with distress inks and you didn't have any, this is a great palette to start with because, and honestly, I wish I knew more about color mixing, but when you have a basic rainbow, there's just so many things you can do with it. And look at how cool it is when you know, when you start to overlap. Oh, I love that. All right, that is the basic rainbow. So take a look. Oh, it looks like the letter C. Hey, that's my initial. That's pretty cute though, isn't it? Now, I think I'll clean off my brush a little. And again, I just squeeze it until more water comes out. But I think I'm going to pick up a little more pink up here and just kind of punch this up a little. But I do have to say, the way this is looking on this cardstock is kind of cool. Like, not that there's usual pilling on like a Neenah Solar White Classic Crest, but sometimes there is. Sometimes there's a little bit. And this is kind of cool, just as is. Like, yeah, that's looking good. All right, I'm gonna pick up a little more orange. Pump that up in there a little. And you can just keep going back over and, you know, adding color where you deem it necessary, which is what I'm going to do. And again, we got to pump up Twisted Citron because, but I think that's the cool thing from what I know about this cardstock. You can totally keep adding water to it because it's so heavy. And yeah, that's pretty cool, friends. All right. All right, let's get that yellow in there like that. All right. I am going to just let this dry for a few minutes, a few minutes. I'm going to walk away and come back, and we're going to get ready to die cut. I swear the shifting light in the craft/dining room is going to kill me. I'm sorry I left the little doodads in there. We're working it out. Okay, I took the die and I cut out a template out of some cheap cardstock. So let's just, where's my little pokey tool? Let's just pop this out, right? Because this is how, oh, interesting. Okay, right? Is this how we do it? Yeah, this is how we're gonna do it. Oh, that's gonna be even easier, I think. Because what I'm gonna try to do here, and actually, I'm gonna trim some of this down because I do need to see some of the edges here in order to be able to have something to tape it to. So even though this is a little warpy, see that? A little warpy. What I'm gonna try to do is, let's see, is that like that? No, wait. Oh boy, am I like understanding this wrong? Okay, let's see. I'm not the brightest bulb in the tree when there we go. Okay. See that? Takes a little moving and shaking to get it in the right place, right? But I think that's pretty good. So I think what I'm gonna start doing, oh, I should have done this first, is take a little tape. We'll start here. So the idea here is just to tape this into place so that when I pop my die in, I will have a lovely guide to cut out the wreath. So now take a look here and you can see it's framing it out, right? With the idea being, and actually I have to hit this to pop out some of the little white pieces because I want those to be free and clear. So everything cuts beautifully. So I'm going to pop those out really quick. Another reason your pokey tool is amazing for popping out little tiny pieces that get stuck in your die. Okay, does that look good? All I have to do is just line this back up, right? Pop it right in there and you can feel it. It feels like it locks into place. That's not perfect. Well, actually it should be. So I'm just going to tape this guy into place with a little more purple tape. Don't be shy. Don't be shy to use all that purple tape because we're locked into place. So I'm going to run this through my Gemini Junior and we'll see what we get. All right, I've run it through. Let's see how well it cut with my template. Well, do I want to just go like that and just, yeah, I guess I'm going to press. I get so nervous because I don't want to tear anything. Where's my, well, I don't know. I'm missing my, my little guy there. Okay, I'm going to take some of these up. Boop, like that. And maybe just lift some of the template portion up. Like, oh yeah. But now, let's make sure. Okay, that's in there too. All right. I normally don't talk to myself this much when I am releasing the hounds, but just want to make sure that that is nice and clean and that is clean. And I think my sweet crafty friends, look at that. Did it work? Come on now. Come on now. Get out of there. Oh, yeah. Okay, so now we got to do a little poking. Poke, 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 poke. Does help. Does help if you make those noises. Poke. Well, I don't know if it does or not, but I do. Poke, poke. And the thing that's kind of cool, I will tell you, this is really quite heavy of cardstock, right? It's not, this is not some baby weight cardstock. Did it cut all the way through? Oh my goodness. Yeah, it did. So the Gemini cut beautifully through this Tim Holtz cardstock, or this, I guess it's distress, but that, oh, yes. It worked. That's exactly what I was hoping for. Ah. Can we just make that noise together for a second? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ah. It really cut out beautifully. And I'm totally okay with this just being white because now I do have to make a decision. Do I want to connect this? What if I connected this with purple and red? I mean, I could, but I'm not sure right yet. So I'm going to clean up my surface area and start planning out the rest of the card. So right here, I've got a piece of Neenah Solar White Classic Crest and the Tim Holtz Distress cardstock. One thing that I noticed right off the bat, and I don't think you're going to be able to pick it up on camera, the Tim Holtz is definitely smoother and it is just a shade whiter. Now it's not really reading, but I think what I'm going to do is just use my Neenah Solar White and keep my Tim Holtz paper for my more crafty mediums. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to score this right at 5.5. This will be a top folding card, USA 2, but I am not going to fold it yet because I'm going to go ahead and grab my Misty so I can stamp the greeting on the front of the card. So I'll grab my Misty and we will continue. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to position, let's see, where's the top there? Kind of want to see where the shadowing is. Maybe I'll just put that there. That'll help me visualize this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Miss You sentiment off. And I'm just going to position this right, right where I think it will be, so it's nicely centered, right like that. Huh? I think that's pretty cute. Right there. Tip it a little like that. Okay, now I'm just going to pick that up, get this out of the way, reposition, and again, I'm going to have to do the rubbing of the stamp because I have not used this. I think it'll be fine. I might actually stamp it down twice just to get a great impression. All right, anti-static powder bag, because I only want my embossing powder to stick to where my embossing ink goes. Again, grab the embossing ink, slide this over a little bit. I'll just ink this up. And like I said, I think I'm going to do it twice. You know, it's a new stamp, and sometimes that coating does kind of mucky muck with things. So I'm going to go like this, and again, I've lost my Swiffer, so I'll just do the side hand. There's the old side hand, pressing down, nice even pressure, and I'm going to hit it one more time, make sure that's in place. Oh, I hope I didn't just shift that. Well, we'll see. That's why you always put it right back into the corner. All right. And I do think I'm going to go with silver embossing powder for this, because I just think sometimes silver is a really nice neutral shine, if that makes sense. So I'm going to pick this up, okay, and I'm going to move that out of the way. I've got this is the sterling powder from Brutus Monroe, really pretty silver powder. Just sprinkle that on like that. Make sure it's stamped. Oh yeah, that did a good job. Let's get a little more here because I didn't quite get enough on there. Okay, got a little hair in there. And tap that off. Well, maybe I did miss a little on the swoop-de-doo, but I can't restamp it. Okay, that's pretty, oh, that looks good. Maybe that was it. Let's do some more. Don't ever be afraid to just throw more powder on, because you know what? You're just going to tap it off like that. All right. I'm just going to take this right there and blow. There's just a couple areas, and actually I don't like the way I stamped that right there, so I'm just going to blow that excess off, and that's going to look good. And then right inside here, like that. Okay. Now you see that fun silver shine. So I'm just going to let that cool completely before I fold this card. All right, now that that's cool, I'm going to fold this down like that. And again, do my bone folder. I have to be a little careful with this because this is a little sore on the old wristy wrist, like that. Now actually, you can see how this is popping up a little bit, right? There's a tiny bit of warpage on this. Now, one thing I could do is I could just go stick this in a book. And you know what? I'm actually going to. Because I've already heat embossed on the card, you know, you can get your card a little warpy. That's one of the reasons why I like doing separate panels, but I really did want to, you know, have this be a single layer card. So what I'm going to do, put it in one of my favorite books, which is actually Are You My Mother by Dr. Seuss. And I'm going to go put this under something heavy, and then we can move on to adding foam adhesive to the wreath. So I thought it would be fun to take some foam squares and just pop a few up here for a little dimension on this wreath. So I'm just going to put a few around the wreath. I like to use my craft pick, which I sometimes call the pokey tool, but I like to use it just to pick up these thin foam squares. And these are most definitely, oh, is that a part that didn't cut that well? Let's see. Let's just go like that. Just a tiny bit, and we're out. All right, keep working my way around here. I'm not going to put any on this because I don't care if that just floats, you know, kind of on its own. I think that will be fine. It'll be fine. A little thin piece there. Split like that. That way you get a super skinny one that you can put right there and Maybe one more super skinny one. That's probably okay, like that. So now we will have a little dimension when that's glued down, and this will kind of just float and cast a shadow. But I also wanted to show you one other thing. One thing that I noticed, and again, this is my first time die cutting this paper. Can you see how it's a little rough there? I'm going to take, well, I'll show you here. I'm going to take this mono sand eraser and just sort of lightly go over the edge of this part of the die, cut where I'm actually noticing that. Of course, you got to be kind of gentle with something like this, but this mono sand eraser is great because it just kind of smooths off any kind of straggler rough cardstock. I mean, you don't have to do it, but I mean, while we're waiting for that panel to flatten, it's certainly not going to hurt anything, right? All right, so you can kind of see how that's going to look there, right? It's cute. It's so simple. But let's go ahead and get our little guys off here. All right, I'm going to just kind of figure out where this goes and try to have it be about the same from side to side. And I'll just pop you down. And so you can kind of see how with this popped up here, that not being popped up is totally okay. And what's kind of cool is it casts a little bit of a shadow, you know? And I don't know if you can make that out, but I think that's pretty cool as well. So the next question is, should we add some sequins? This is a pretty pink Posh mix that I use all the time. I think I use it all the time because it's so neutral. Why is it neutral? Well, because it's silver. Now let's see here. All right, I got a little, so you can kind of see how my card's still a little warping. It's kind of sticking up here. In fact, I want this to stay flat. I do this sometimes. I'll actually tape something down on the back so that that stays nice and flat. So let's try that. Okay, good. Now that's popping up there. I guess it doesn't matter. All right, we got a little warpage. I might have come a little too soon, and that's okay. So let's see. Do we want to have like, let's pick one up. Let's go. Let's do a little one on the wreath. Let's do maybe a big one coming out from under. You want to have a big one in here maybe, like that. I do like the little coming in, you know, maybe having that right there maybe, and maybe have a little guy coming out. Now, I definitely will, I'll be sure to add a link to a video that I did about sequin placement. Some people have found it helpful. I like to try to use odd numbers, but I don't really like that. Yeah, I don't really like that. This is where I'm not necessarily the master, but let's see here. I think it's fun to have a little shine and just have a little sparkle on the wreath like that. Big one there, kind of tucking in, right, like that. And now 1, 2, 3, 4. What if I put one more up top here? Well, picking it up. And we'll just kind of have maybe one up here like that. So what we create here is a little, you know, a little eye visual, right, coming down. That's just covering up one, and I think that would be fine. I think that would be pretty cute. 5. Okay, like I said, odd numbers are visually pleasing. Or do I want to have it out more? I don't think it really matters. I think, you know, just a little, maybe this guy coming down a little bit right there and right there, right there, maybe. How's that? I'm gonna move you here so there's a closer connection and just get started. Come on. Boop, boop, boop. And you know that's the noise you have to make, right? Boop, boop, boop. Now, you know what? I gotta pick you up. There we go. That's what we want to do. I'm going to press you in. Now I can say, boop. Okay. Oh, that's covering up a hole. So I don't want to have the I don't want to have that go down. I don't know. There we go. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's super cute. All right. Oh, now I was covering that one up too, so maybe I got to bring it down a little. There's nothing to put it on. That. And one guy up here. And I'm going to bring him in just a tiny bit so it's a similar distance from that one. Go like that. Okay, and then I'm going to let that dry completely before I start flipping things around. Okay, but that, my friends, is my finished card project. You know, it's pretty cute. It's pretty clean and simple, right? Look at that fun shine. Isn't that cute? Ah, I love it. I love it. And again, if you're not great with coloring, and some things I can color pretty darn well, but this wreath would not be one of those things. I love this simple emboss resist and a little rainbow around. I mean, let's be real. I feel like I'm channeling my inner Laura Basson here. And I know you know her. And if you don't, I'm sticking a link below as well, because she is the rainbow queen and she is the rainbow Yoda. So I think she'd be proud of this. But isn't that cute? Oh, simple. So fun. That's our finished card. Yay! Yay me. It's pretty cute. That's pretty cute. Anyway, I love how this turned out. And again, if you struggle with coloring like little tiny wreath details like that, stamp it, emboss it, put some ink over it. It doesn't even have to be distress ink. You can take any ink that you have. You can take dye inks, distress inks, wash that paint over it, and you will have a gorgeous image. It doesn't like that. I'm actually 54, so I lied. Thanks so much for watching today. I would love to have you become a subscriber to my YouTube channel. And if you do subscribe, be sure to hit the gray bell below the video so that you don't miss the next time I post. Here are a couple other videos that you might be interested in watching. Thanks so much and have a great day.